Hello, 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 everybody. I am your androgynous AI game show host from the future, Nathan Blades. This is the Neoncaster Twitch channel. Thank you for being a little patient when we started our stream, or our Sunday stream. I think this is the third Sunday in a row, actually, that I've been live with tabletop stuff. I didn't think that this is something I would be so consistent on, but I'm glad that I'm doing it. I'm glad that you're all here as well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Also joining me from Jump, the one and only Ruben. Welcome.
Hi, it's me, Ruben.
Hi.
Big R, small N at the end. Hi.
The big R has joined the chat, yes.
Oh no. I do a kickflip and point at the crowd. Everyone goes wild.
Absolutely screaming, absolutely screaming. But yeah. I just yesterday I had off air got really into painting a little crew of Warhammer figures that I thought I would be doing for just a couple hours while on chat with Tom, friend of the show, and then time passed, and before I knew it, I had been painting for most of that. All of that afternoon and then heavily into that evening. And I'm still not done.
Wait, so how many hours is that?
So I would say that was 9 hours of painting yesterday.
Yo. Okay.
Yeah, what I normally do, and we'll cut over to tabletop camera in a little bit. What I normally do is I'll usually paint one mini at a time, and over the course of maybe 3.5 to 4 hours in one sitting, more or less, I will finish a piece that I'm happy with this, and I don't need to put any more paint on it, really. Maybe I will go back on the second day and add some finishing touches, but otherwise it'll be from base sprayed, so I've got the priming layers of paint down to done in one setting, maybe two. But what I've been doing is what is known as batch painting. For the people who play war games who need to have entire squads of miniatures who are all roughly in the same style and need to be painted in the same way, what they'll do is that they'll sit down and be kind of like, okay, I need to paint all the blue parts of this army this color, this way, and they'll sit down and do one of them at a time, like a little like a manufacturing line, right?
Yeah, like your TF2 team colors on all the 500,000 little units that you have.
Yeah. I'm lucky that I'm not into any of the games that require me to have dozens of minis painted the same way. What I'm currently painting is properly for a game called Kill Team, which is like a squad-based game or a skirmish game. So it's a set of 11 miniatures, which is on the large side of that kind of thing. Usually when you play skirmish games, you're probably dealing with 7 or lower, so 11 is quite high. So really, with 9 hours, I have done less than 1 hour per mini. So where I am progress-wise isn't that bad. At the end of those 9 hours, I'm like, I've made some progress, but like the way that people post on the internet about their miniature painting prowess suggests that I maybe should have done way more than what I had managed to do. And actually, that's just, people who are professional painters doing maybe something less complicated than I'm doing. Being able to retrieve those kinds of results at that kind of speed, and I'm being incredibly hard on myself. It's the truth of the situation.
Yeah, I get it. It's the perfectionist in you. But treat yourself at your own pace, at your own skill level, and just enjoy the work of art. I mean, we had a little conversation about that. You're enjoying painting much more than you do drawing, right?
Yes. And I want to keep it that way. I want to get into a circumstance where I look at miniature painting and I go, I can't stand it. So
yes. Oh my god.
Moving over to Cam. I have not focused Cam yet, so give me a second while Cam gets her shit together.
Come on, Cam.
You should be on this now. Holding up the.
Oh my god.
The lad, because that will be my benchmark.
There they are.
Yeah.
with the Tekken pants.
Oh
Jin
god, I
Kazama
love
ass
this
pants.
sculpt so much.
Me too.
This is the minis I'm painting today are actually from the same faction, so they share a
That's
little bit of a gothy techwear energy across all of their stuff, which is why I was super into them. We need to go and color balance that a little bit. Actually, that's already pretty good. Okay. And then if we're operating horrendously out of focus, you can let me know and I'll rework it. But yeah, we'll go. And also, I need to go and get tunes going. You know, Lo-Fi Girl. She has gained a best friend, Synthwave Boy. So we're going to be listening to some Synthwave Boy today, because apparently there is something on my video game Spotify playlist that one of the songs or two of the songs muted VOD. So I can't rely on that playlist anymore until I work out who the snitch is.
Oh my god. Which of y'all points at the crowd?
You know, so I know for a fact that Lo-Fi Girl and ostensibly Synthwave Boy are DMCA free, so we'll going forward be relying on Synthwave Radio until, and which I still think is actually a pretty good fit for both what I would want to listen to and the vibes of what we're painting today. So we're gonna stick to that, and we're also gonna make sure that I go and take a break every hour on the hour. To save my back and neck, because I was feeling it yesterday.
Listen, I've got 11,000 Zenny. I can make you stretch whenever I want.
Yes. Very good. I will have to be sure. Was it that people have described, or they love like tuning into their favorite YouTubers to look after them as they would a Tamagotchi. So
drink water. Go to the bathroom.
So we'll do a whistle stop tour of. I do actually need to get myself a glass of water. I've prepared everything else except the liquid today, so we need to go and do that. I can't just drink from the paint water. You're not supposed to drink from the paint water. That's bad. But going through, we have this. What I would describe as very Metal Gear Rising Revengeance looking guy. He do have a backpack with lots of speakers on the back, which is a running theme across how I have kit bashed these miniatures. They don't have names yet. Eventually they will, I am sure. We have this kind of leader unit. Sorry.
Oh no, I was trying to name him, but
that will have to be a process I will do another time. I cannot dwell on that today.
Fair enough.
We have the leader of the kind of like spindly-legged lads. Their gun do be an accordion though.
Ooh, that makes them French coded.
I love like a French coded with a heavy kind of like I'm a robot filter on it. But yeah, all of them have this. The color balance is off again. Let me go and nudge that again. There we go. That's better. I'm trying to. One of the things we're definitely going to be doing today is taking down the blue to get it a deeper shade of blue, and going for kind of more tealy highlights, and then making sure that we've got a very clean magenta trim on as much as what we can do, and fading it into orange in some places in a similar way to the test mini. The test mini is our guide in terms of how we're building the colors.
Nodding sagely.
Yeah. We have spindly-legged lad number 3.
Ooh, they're so spindly.
I love the head, the dome head.
Oh, I need to feed them some oil.
Feed them some natural oil like a tachikoma. Yes.
Like invite them over. Like, have you eaten, son? Come on.
You're all skin and bone. You're all nuts and bolts, my dear.
Nuts and bolts. I can see your frame.
And the last of the spindly lads, with this one with an actual hand, needed for the guitar on the back, to which they shred with. Very important.
Ah. Oh hell yeah. Okay, these are like Mad Maxi.
Oh yes. So how I got into this group, which I'll mention very briefly. These specific spindly-legged warriors, the Sicarians, their weapons do sonic damage, so the blades kind of like have this frequency that helps them rend flesh better or whatever, and they've got like sonic cannons and all that shit. And I'm like, okay, cool. So they use sound weapons, good. And then the like lore for the faction itself is that they travel between all these different planets that have been hit by apocalypses and find the ancient tech that was left behind and then use that in their kind of like combat prowess, or the machines that they make are based on the artifacts that they've found. And I'm kind of like, okay, A plus B equals C. So they're going to all of these apocalypse planets and essentially crate digging. They're trying to find all the old records and like synthesizers and stuff that have been left behind, and like extracting those to go and make literal killer beats with is the lore for this faction.
I was thinking that like you're scavenging like fallen civilizations to unlock new genres of music. Oh hell yeah, we got stuff like deep wave.
Oh yeah. It's very much that that one roll table in Cyborg that is a whole bunch of made up aesthetics, are the kind of music genres that these guys run. We have our three kind of like commando style units. I didn't like the helmets that they're supposed to have, so I replaced them all with like Gundam heads, which I'm very, very happy with. Let me refocus. Yeah, they have
look at
very, very Gundam-y
eyebrows.
kind of heads. I need to kind of decide what color I want to paint the rest of the head. I didn't decide at the time.
This man Grumpy has got like the sharpest monobrow I can ever. Like.
Big angry eyebrows.
Yeah, what's gotten you so peeved, sir?
We have these two who are essentially the same loadout. They're kind of like, general infantrymen, so there's not too much different about them. But I also need to decide what color to paint the gun.
Super soaker ass gun, gotta say.
Yes. I love how silly sci-fi. Like a lot of the factions are, really, well, the grimdark future and all that shit. And I'm like, I guess. I don't need them to be that way though. The infantrymen of this other kind with a kind of hood to them instead. I love these little heads with the little scope eye and the antenna, and I like their very long, kind of steampunky rifle that they get that we've kind of got in a cyan color. I also love their very cyberpunk tech wear, like cropped trousers with like tabby style shoes, like the little ninja boots that they have.
Yeah, I was gonna say like little animal legs almost, and the posture, gotta say, immaculate.
Then we have their kind of like radio guy.
Yeah.
So he has a rifle that is also a speaker cannon because it has to be.
Okay. This is that NPC we made. This is Bessie.
Very much. And the backpack is actually a little turntable backpack.
Oh my god! Set up like, instead of like setting up a turret somewhere, you set up a fucking speaker station.
Yeah. I might have to see if I can find some kind of like speaker tower mini that I can use as like an objective token or like a turret token that they can make. In the rule set for these guys, these don't make turrets, I don't think, but like, yeah, I like that idea. I like that idea. We have the super long rifleman. So the gun is so long, it needs a little stand.
Oh, cute.
Very silly.
Very, very silly. Oh, well, he's doing his best, though.
And then we have our commander of the infantrymen with his cool pose. He also gets a guitar backpack.
And a like a sword.
Yeah, a taser goad, I think it's called.
Wow.
The way that you can tell the leader units apart is that they have a special like hexagonal base pattern on them to tell them apart. They gave them a little custom base to make them a little easier to tell them apart. But yeah. I think so. I previously was working on these in a kind of like, oh, okay, we're going to be painting all the blue and then all the pink and then all the green. And we're now at a stage, because I'm trying to work out how to finish them off, we're probably going to be working on them one at a time. Just kind of like picking one of these and then specifically focusing on getting all of the color covered, even if we don't do like the finishing details, because then that will be useful framework for when we go on and do all the others, I think. But first, I need to go and retrieve that water. Retrieving water is definitely important. I'll leave the camera running. It's fine. I will be literally like 30 seconds. Bear it back.
Everyone, comment on their room. Comment on the interior design. Look at that. Look at that mirror on the wall. Oh my god. You stand up. And they just tower over that mirror. Tall. Very tall. Everyone comment on the tall. Very cozy couch though.
All right. Wandering back over. What? Where? God, my desk is so full of paint. Where do I put my glass of water? There we go. And then putting my headphones back on. And headphones back on. Hi.
We were just, me and Chad were just commenting on, the interior design of your room right now, and ooh, they had some things to say.
Haha, sparse. I live in rented accommodation, so I'm very reticent to like put paintings on walls and shit like that. I can't. I'm looking forward to the opportunity. Excuse me. One day to move soon. And actually own a house, because that I think will give me a lot more flexibility.
Yeah.
But we gotta do what we gotta do for now. Right. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That sucks when you're like, oh man, I wanna like put up art or some stuff on the walls, but I can't even put a nail in.
There's like every so often I get ads for like, ooh, these metal posters are, whoa, gosh, knocking everything over. These metal posters are perfect for like hanging on your wall with just an adhesive thingamabob. And I'm like, okay. But you'd still have to put like a weird metal thing attached to your wall, and that's probably going to leave a bunch of residue as well. I have the only thing I do have attached, but you can't see, is that I have like echo absorbing foam on a corner of the wall behind my microphone, so I don't echo so badly when speaking. But even that is probably going to leave a pretty horrendous mark when I'm done and leave. I'm not looking forward to having to remove that and being like, yes, sorry. Right. On the list for today, which one are we going to paint? We're going to go with one with a nice cape that we can work with. So let's go with one of these. And first goal for me is to go and put a little bit of depth in the blue. We're going to be using some purple contrast paint, and the magic blue color that I was using initially, mixing them together a little bit for a deeper hue.
Ooh, okay.
Mm-hmm. I quite like using these contrast and speed paints. They're not opaque. They have like a translucency to them, meaning that it kind of shows off the light and dark underpainting that I have done underneath to help give value and color prior to me actually adding in the proper color, adding in the light and darks first. But it can sometimes that the contrast of that can fade a little bit once you've got once you've got your own colors on top. So it's just going in and like adding in the additional bits and color that we need to get it to where it is, just specifically putting in those deeper shadows and brighter highlights to get where we need to go. Now, let's see about, yeah, you can see and I can see. Let's actually get a painting handle as well. Have you ever done much in the way of painting? Your partner is obviously not obviously, but a career illustrator, a professional artiste. For those who didn't know,
I am not like very artistically inclined. I've really I've tried as a teenager to really get into drawing, into visual arts, but I just don't have the dexterity or the I'm too clumsy. I think it comes down to it. So that's unfortunately not something that I'm really good at or even want to do. A lot of people around me like are really good at it. So I'm like, yeah, I like looking. don't have to trap myself.
No, I understand. I understand the feeling. I also know a lot of illustrators, and you know, I go to a lot of like the illustrator conventions in the UK, so I'm familiar with a lot of them, and watching at the standard that they work is definitely sometimes intimidating in terms of kind of like, oh, you know, I can't be an artist because I can't paint as good as what they do or what have you, which I think a lot of people can have that kind of sentiment. Although it does kind of boil down to, are you an individual in the kind of position where you can practice enough to become that good? Because that's, you know, talent is definitely a factor. Talent is always a factor. But they got as good as they did by just being able to put the hours in, right?
Yeah. What is it like? It takes 10,000 hours to like master something or something. What's the adage?
Yeah, that sounds plausible, about right. I don't know the specific number if there is one.
Yeah, it's mostly sort of like a. It's not true because again, you know, people can get good at it at something at their own pace. But it shows, you know, you gotta invest in something if you want to get good at it. Yeah, and for me, it's, you know, I'm currently in this house. I don't have the space to really get, you know, a station going like that. I don't have the disposable income, unfortunately. And yeah, that's also like puts a little bit of a dimmer on. You know,
The dampener, I get you. Yeah, but you have your own talents, right? That you
do I
excel in. Of course you do.
Oh
You've been doing literature pieces for quite a while. You know, you genuinely have published works, TM.
That is true. Yeah, no, I am a short story writer. Well, haven't really. Well, actually, let's rephrase that. Working on a future story, not haven't written anything in a while. Just I'm waiting for inspiration to strike. That's what I'm. But no, I've written a lot in the past, surrealist pieces, magical realism, stuff about colonialism, that kind of stuff. I think, and this is something that is my little claim to fame, is that I've written one of the most well-regarded analyses, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and it's
Yes,
weird.
yes, you have. Yes, you
Like
have. I
most, like
have attended panels at conventions before where they've referenced it.
for real?
Yeah.
What
I
the
think
fuck?
I've sent you a picture of it before. Like somebody was doing a panel about kind of like queerness in anime that isn't specifically BL or yaoi or what
No
have you.
kidding. Okay.
And they referenced your text.
I hadn't seen that.
I'll see if it might still be in my phone. If it is, I will send you a picture. But yeah. No, you are a cited author.
Yeah, no, I sometimes even get messages from like academia.co.uk about like your work has been cited in the following publication, and it's like wow, it's being used in actual academic circle queer studies.
And hey, I think that's incredibly respectable.
Yeah, no, it's surprising because honestly, the impetus for me writing that story is just like, man, I want to suck Dio's penis. Let's investigate why.
You know what you're about. That's important in itself.
Yep.
Gosh, where else do I want to? Because I don't want to just have the coat in dark blue and literally nothing else. Oh, the head. Part of the head needs to be in the dark blue as well.
Right.
Okay, so let's might need to switch up a finer brush for the one I'm currently using. Oh, I don't have blotting paper either.
Hey,
that's another thing I need to retrieve. Sorry, give me 1 second.
Yeah.
Just running back and forth across my room. There we go. But, it's nothing fancy. I just need kitchen towel to wipe my brushes off. There we go. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, you've also written something though, for certain anthologies.
I mean, I've as a tabletop RPG person, I actually have a pretty solid list of stuff that I've written for now in terms of like games or scenarios. There's a good 10 or so that I am at now. Posted about it on my Twitter, actually. It's my pinned tweet on Twitter. How many? I'm gonna be vain and count real quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, currently 10, soon to be 11 different books that are not my own that I have written, scenarios, or like entire RPGs for. So in that kind of way, yeah. I definitely have my own reputations and progress that I've made and stuff that I've done, which I appreciate actually. It's nice that my hobby is recognized in a way where there are lots of people that would want to give me their hard-earned ducats to be able to write for. I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, that's it's the commercialization of art, blah blah. That's another conversation. But that's like the moment where someone's like, hey, I respect you enough to just throw money at you to write, for something, or to give a framework to a vision that I have or something that I want to see in the world, and I think you're the best one to create that. That is a pretty big honor, I think.
Feels good. I won't lie to you. Right? Feels good.
It's just like, oh wow, the way that I do language is appealing to you, and apparently you want to use it instead of your own. That's a really nice gesture in a way.
For sure. I get why the people who are like really big D&D fans or what have you, when they get to actually kind of like contribute to an official book or whatever, that's like a huge part of it, right? Because it's the thing that you enjoy, being recognized specifically by the thing that you enjoy, I think is just a really nice feeling. I am rapidly realizing I need to put a light on my left side. I can do that though. Gosh. Hey, I'm getting up a lot now, so when I have everything, I don't need to get up later. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna try and push when I just know what I need. Whoop. Go, battery pack. Yeah, one of my streaming friends who also does tabletop stuff, Valthek, has a proper like camera arm that he's got set up that works with all his bits and pieces. Oh, there we go. Cool light will do. And that's really impressive because he can kind of have the mini held quite close to the camera without it getting in the way of his hands or head, and I'm envious. I think I need that kind of setup for myself. This is starting to get a little tight for miniature painting.
Yeah, I can tell you're trying to stay within frame, and that's also limiting your freedom of movement there.
Yeah, a little bit. We navigate though. I mean, regardless of how into this we go, there will be a point later on in my own time where I will be doing lots of finishing touches and stuff just on my own time off camera. And that is when this will like really be getting there. But for now, it's good to be able to get the difficult bits done, or the long parts done, I suppose. Deciding on what else needs to be blue. Does anything on the backpack need to be blue? Like the straps. Instead of them being leather straps, they are blue. Fair enough. As fashionably conscious as this particular faction is, they sure do have lots of tiny details that some other factions do not. Your standard Space Marines are actually pretty detail light, making them considerably easier to paint. But also, they are ugly.
Yeah, it's the Ura style of design.
And for the people that are into that, love it for them. Not for me.
It's a specific kind of like a war gamer.
I mean, some people like to pick Ryu, and that's okay. They're allowed.
Wow, that's so fucking mean.
What do you mean mean?
Like some people are just normies, yeah.
Am I incorrect? Were falsehoods stated, Ruben?
Damn, no, I can't contest it. You're right, but it's like, damn. I'm just reacting because if I were ever called a Ryu player, I'd be like,
oh, those would be fighting words, huh?
Yeah, just juke up.
You're immediately ready to throw hands. I see.
Yeah, like how dare you? Like you should be able to tell that I'm a Faust main. Actually, I don't even play Street Fighter yet.
There's there's definitely a specific energy in being a Faust main as well, I would say. But I think you would be like, yes, good, accurate.
Yes. No, I'd be like, what do you mean with that? I'd be like really antagonistic. What's that supposed to mean?
So you're saying I'm a Faust main, huh? Have you checked your Guilty Gear biases before coming at me with this.
Yeah. You think I'm hiding my face? You think I'm secretive?
Mm-hmm.
You think I'm creepy? Is that it?
Gosh, what if like somebody entirely not playing ball with that being like, yes?
they double down on it. Oh no. I'd be really hurt, and I'd detach my head, throw it at them, which then explodes as a bomb.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd make my escape through a door I can just randomly open up.
I would be upset, but then they would have to block this overhead.
Exactly. Yeah. I got a full screen grab. I can pull if you're in the other corner. I can just pull you with my scalpel actually. So it's my scalpel fishhook.
I haven't looked at it for quite a while. I have noticed that they have introduced Bedman.
Batman's back.
With the question mark, Bedman?
He's apparently he doesn't play very well.
Oh.
It's unfortunate because I
actually
love
kind of strange. With the kind of like environment of DLC characters, it is usually in their best interest to release them slightly broken. To get new players on board. I don't know if you've ever been a League of Legends or similar style player, but a very common tactic in games like that, where they are regularly releasing new characters, is to release a character and have them be incredibly good. So to stay on curve, people will grind or shell out the money to obtain them and then rebalance them over time.
Yeah, exactly. More impetus to get at pay for the overpowered character and get more victories that way.
So it is a little strange that Bedman apparently isn't up to par in that kind of way. Then that catches me a bit by surprise.
Yeah, that's what I've heard though through hearsay. So it's not really if I can confirm it myself, or if it's like they personally don't like how he plays.
Oh, sure. Oh, I guess that's the difference between I don't like how they play and how they play is in terms of tier bad. Because both Jacko and Testament play nothing like how they used to. And initially people were quite upset. Well, not upset because people thought that OG Testament was pretty miserable to play against, really broken back in the day. So they were kind of glad that the New Testament, as it were, was less broken. And New Testament is actually still top tier. They just played entirely differently.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's like, if this was your previous main, you're excited about them getting back, and suddenly they just play different, and you have to relearn them. It's like, what's the point?
I spent all my previous hours in kind of getting used to. And that's a non-zero investment for a fighting game. So yeah, no, I can understand why people would be peeved.
I exposed myself to countless hours of Jacko doing weird poses.
And this expose yourself to countless hours more, because that's not changed at all.
Yeah, that's fair. They know what they're about.
Oh, is this arm or armor plating? I might get the dark purple out for that then. This might be all the blue. Okay. Yeah. Not picked that up in a while, or any other fighting games in a while, honestly. But I do like fighting games as a general conceit. But yeah, I had, or there was a point where I was playing fighting games a lot more, and my understanding like of how that kind of genre worked increased, and for the first time, I felt like I knew a character and how to play them. And then I was playing like Raffi and getting my cheeks clapped just so hard and so consistently. And I'm kind of like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm getting too mad every time I'm losing, and I'm like, I need to go and work on me before I am.
I can't do this. I have to walk away right now.
But genuinely though, I figured like, you know.
So guilty gear going like, baby, what's up? We can talk this out. Like, no, I have to leave the room. Sorry.
I
can't discuss with you right now.
I just, you know, I didn't want to be one of those stick throwers, you know? I was never that mad, but I definitely felt myself being like actively upset when I would play for a full play session and just not win at all.
The salt is real. It can get you.
So, you know, I guess we'll return in the future, but for now it is definitely in the territory of kind of like, okay, all right, we'll let this go and return to it in the future when I know that I am ready to go and take a game like this on again, because it apparently sure as fuck isn't right now. That needs to be in the bright metal. So does that. This top part doesn't need to be.
Yeah, I've been playing, well, the fighting game, Analog, I guess I've been playing, is a Clash Artifacts of Chaos. Which is, it's a beat 'em up. It's like a third and first person beat 'em up with a lot of fighting game tactics.
First person beat 'em up is definitely an interesting proposition.
Yeah, it's from the makers of Xenoclash, if you've ever heard about.
Oh, that's like an alien arena shooter-y thing, maybe?
Not quite. It's like a very old, not very old, but it's like a 2004 sort of like Gmod game.
Okay.
That turned into its entire like production. It's really well made. Or Source Engine production, not Gmod, sorry. But it's about, you know, this surrealist anarchist community or civilization where you play as someone who's like been banished from their tribe, and it's a first person beat 'em up, and so it's the second game. And it's like you move from like fight to fight and fight these strange creatures or people wearing very strange clothes until you know get your lineage back. Until
your Xenos are officially clashed.
Exactly, you're clashing them with them Xenos, and this is the third game in that series after like a 12-year hiatus. And it's like, yeah, it's good. It's good. You play as a guy without a nose who's got extremely hairy elbows. conscious design decision on the team's part.
The hairiest elbows. Nowhere else. Bald.
Very bald, but elbows hairy as hell. Just
okay.
Like you elbow someone and it's just spiky, you know.
Oh, stubbly elbows. That's worse. What?
Yep. Sandpaper elbows. And you have a little bird creature as your friend. You're trying to help him be reunited with his grandpa. And yeah, no, it's fun.
Yeah. No, I have not played that many video games in the last couple weeks, but that's because I've been busy with other endeavors recently. But I was working my way through more of the mobile game gacha sequel to Library of Ruina, Limbus Company, because it has, you know, a story mode in it, and they release story every so often. So I'm like, cool, I will play until I have seen all of the story, and then I will take a break until more story is made available. And we're now at the point where I'm officially caught up on content, so I can be freed from what is sort of a gacha game made by people who don't do gacha games.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess, in some ways forgiving, makes the kind of like collection of stuff less aggressive than other kind of mobile games in that genre, and in other ways a bit just kind of like, oh, you're just not aware of the kind of quality of life things that this genre tends to offer.
Oh, so you can tell that there's like a lack of like familiarity.
Yeah. So, for example, there is a way to like do certain fights that just give you the item that lets you give EXP to units for free without having to like go on missions with them, right? And initially, when that mode was introduced, you had to manually do every fight. Where in most gacha games, after you beat it the first time, you can auto complete it for like an increased resource cost.
Huh.
And it's that kind of thing of like, it's you already know how to do this content. You're only doing it because you need to make numbers go up. So we're going to save you the time and automate it for you. But clearly people needed to kind of like highlight to them, hey, this pretty key feature to stop your game from being hella tedious is missing. Maybe include it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like, don't make me do everything manually, because the whole point in a gacha game, very grindy genre, at least have auto battle, something like that.
Sometimes it works in the opposite favor, or it works in a way because they're not familiar with it. They do something that actually I'm like, okay, actually this is surprisingly useful. They recently had a side story event called Hell's Chicken, where the owner of a chicken restaurant who has been like forced out by a megacorp rival next door has turned into a chicken monster and is attacking the locals. So you go and try and save the day. And you do that by having a cooking competition. It's just funny. It's like, it's played for humor, but we're alongside having a couple of like dungeons to go and do. But every stage in that like side story you do earns like a meta currency essentially that you can turn in for items and stuff. But one of the items that you would have to kind of do a lot of grinding for in that, or just by kind of grind, you can also pull from the gacha, which I pulled near immediately, just like, oh, I have some spare credits, let's do the thing. And Tom, who is also playing, is all kind of like, I've been kind of like working away at it, and I've now finally earned enough of the meta currency to get the one thing that I was looking for. And I'm like, oh, I just have that. I didn't realize that was supposed to be a large amount of in-game invested time to get. I guess I was just lucky. But nice that it is available in more ways than just grinding, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. It's really not the intended way from the developers, but...
Oh, it would be very funny if that was included that way entirely on accident. That would be hilarious to me.
You're not supposed to grind, you're supposed to wait for the RNG. That's a little too honest from a gacha developer.
You've had your time in the gacha mines occasionally, haven't you?
I've dabbled in Grand Blue Fantasy. Mostly while I was working bad customer service jobs.
You needed something to fill the time.
Yeah. But I got pretty far in that, and I tried to get back into it a couple of months ago, but I couldn't get my old account back.
And you're like, I'm not reinvesting the time in that.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna. I've so many rolls, so much grinding already done. I'm not going to expose myself to that. I've got better hours to spend.
Where is my light gray? Here is my light gray. Because we have some kind of like dark metal on this mini, but I want some kind of lighter silvery metal as well, just to kind of, so there's a contrast difference. One of the things I find in terms of working with miniatures is that light dark contrast is more important than you would expect. The being able to read the details of something is almost entirely dependent on whether there is enough light dark contrast to help you to be able to see what the object is. And you can see on the chest of this one, there's a lot of like pipe work, for example. So I'm going to have to make sure that I try and color those in a way that make it really clear. Each individual pipe is quite clear and easy to see and that kind of thing. Which can sometimes be, you know, detail work minutiae. But in the long run, it really does pay off in terms of making... Because at the end of the day, you're probably going to be looking at this mini from some feet away in room lighting in a gaming basement somewhere.
Yeah.
So being able to have, you know, there's the painting style that is for Instagram that takes a very, very long time. Maybe an airbrush is involved. It's quite painstaking and taken in macro photography and all that. And that's great. But on the table, I could probably paint a mini in similar colors and they would look the same on the table.
Exactly, and you wouldn't have to spend a very long time, you know, getting the photo op.
Yeah, it is. I guess from my perspective, it's a very like because they are the people that are posting the most of the stuff that they're working on, and it can be very easy in the same way that we were kind of talking earlier about the artist friends that we know and seeing how accomplished they are, and then looking at your own work and being like, oh god. It can be very easy, I think, to look at the work that the professional painters do and feel very, very intimidated, or like, oh, I can't paint something like that. I shouldn't be trying to attempt something this complicated because it's not going to match up to the standards of what other people are painting. And that's a sad thought to have. A sad thought to have.
It's also something that's like you can't ever prove or disprove. It's just pure anxiety. It's like,
to a degree, you kind of just have to try and paint it anyway and see how far you get.
Yeah, exactly. You know, the world is filled with long-lasting horrors and like reasons for intense self-doubt, but do it anyway because the anxiety is temporary.
Don't let the anxiety win, man.
Exactly, and also no one is able to really incorporate the element of, you know, time in their own like self-reflection. You know, how am I going to be like in a year's time? No one can know that for sure, and yeah, it's always going to be pretty drastic of a change.
Yeah, I do have some minis in my collection that I look at in terms of like how complicated they are in terms of sculpt, and go like, my skill level isn't high enough to attempt this yet. That's not to say they never will be, but it's a thing that, you know, I recognize that I'm kind of like, oh, I need to go back to the lab or paint something in this vein but simpler to get to the point where I would be comfortable with taking this particular thing on, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean that's a difference in knowing where your limits are, you know, as a technical, just from a technical point of view, to
True.
envy of, oh man, this person who's, you know, gotten a lot more time and effort and dedication in than me is better than me. It's like, yeah, but that kind of makes sense though, but you will also be able to put it in. You know?
Oh, also, by the way, you know, I was kind of talking about light and dark contrast.
Yeah.
If you look back at his rib cage pipes, I've painted the bottom ones now, and they already specifically stand out so much more. And I've only just put a little bit of light gray on them to help you be able to tell those pipes apart. It's that kind of additional detail work that really does.
That really stands out, and it also helps transition into sort of like from the black to different colors of like the lower coat and the pink trimmings.
Yeah, trying to. There's a point in this that I'm gonna have to start adding the orange into the magenta. You know, partially for the synthwave stuff, but also to kind of give a second, because magenta still feels like a pretty cool tone alongside the rest of these. These are all very cool toned. Hi, Social Alien. When I started painting, I thought to paint. When I started painting, I just thought paint to where if like it while seeing improvement. If my skills, I'm happy. I used to suffer anxiety when looking at what other people are doing. I've stopped doing that now. And I've proved how far I've come in the Warhammer journey. Yes, yeah. There was I think the cycle of any new painter or a new like miniature hobbyist is like, oh, I want to learn how to do this thing better. So I'm going to go and find the people on like YouTube or Instagram or whatever that are doing the tutorials that are doing a style that I like, so I can learn from that style. You do that, and then over time, you start following more and more people who are doing really, really good work. And then what you're looking at now isn't new ways to learn, but just people who have styles that might not even be a style that you like. They're just really good at it. And that having a pretty heavy effect on how you respond to that kind of space. So yeah, it is very, very much about kind of finding a way where you can learn from some other people, but not getting too caught up in what their business is about. Also, welcome, Social Alien, since you were a first-time poster in the chat. Welcome for such a large message too. I appreciate it. I like the grim dark style, and I made it my style, and now do it your way. See, I think I think you're in good company for the Warhammer community. I think a lot of people who paint Warhammer minis really enjoy the grimdark style. I do not. As it happens, I appreciate the grim darkness of it, but I think it used to be really it used to be a parody initially in its really early stages, where it was like it was grim dark but also quite schlocky.
Yeah.
And I think it is kind of, there was a period of time where it was just considerably more and more serious and less schlocky. And I was like, this doesn't do it for me, actually. So I've always liked the aesthetic that's really vibrant. I mean, you can tell. Look at these bright blue and pink minis. But let me see if I can find something.
Sorry to interrupt, but I have to actually head out. So
oh, no worries. No worries. Thank you for hanging with hanging with me, and have a fantastic afternoon.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye, Chad. Bye, Nathan.
See you, Ruben. Let me go and see if I can find something that I've previously finished so I can show you. Oh, yeah. Definitely attempting to try and be different in my approach, right? Oh, yes. This would be a good example. So there is an Age of Sigmar faction called the Night Haunt, who are like ghosts, and I'm like, I like the ghost sculpts, but I am a sci-fi urban fantasy person at heart. So this was something that I painted relatively recently, trying to do a low poly effect with the polygons on the outside, and then doing a contrast between matte and gloss with the lower and upper parts of the cape, and then painting the trim in like a neon vibe, and the little like weights that it has in neon as well. I was really happy with how this one came out. This is one of my favorite minis that I've painted so far, and definitely kind of like an instance where I'm like, oh, I've leveled up a little bit actually. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like it. But yeah, I think one of my general inspirations is like retro video games and like toys. There is a pretty big focus in miniature painting of making the thing that you're painting look as real as possible, and I want them to look like fake as fuck on purpose. If you remember back in the day, Super Smash Brothers on the N64, where the opening cutscene was Master Hand like pulling all of these figurines and dolls into an arena and then bringing them to life. I want that energy. I want that energy where it's obvious that the thing that we have here is not a real object. It is 100% a toy. I really like that kind of style of things. Okay, I'm gonna move that over there so I have a bit more room for my hands. We're gonna be moving into a kind of fiddlier territory with this one. We're working on making sure that the edges of all these are highlighted, and we're not getting any white seams. Now I'm thinking you might do a miniature with bright colors and see how it goes. Absolutely, absolutely. I think you'll be surprised with how fun it can be. I think it's a lot of fun to work in something cheerful every so often. Thinking got some Necrons. Ooh, yes. I really like the Adeptus Mechanicus because of their fashion sense. But if I was to go and pick a second faction, I would pick Necrons. I think the Necrons also look really cool. I do like they are android cyber Egyptians. I like the kind of like green lightning and like little floating cube aesthetic that they have. Makes me think of like old school JRPG. It makes me think of Dot Hack specifically, if you're familiar with that kind of like video game and anime franchise. Dot Hack. It's like a very edgy but Y2K edgy. Sci-fi fiction fantasy have Tyranids and Necrons. Sure. My partner, he collects Necrons. No, sorry, he collects Tyranids. I've not seen him play them yet though. We mostly play Marvel Crisis Protocol together, and not actually any Warhammer stuff. While I am going to Warhammer Fest tomorrow, and I am very excited about doing so, I am also... Oh, there's a massive gap where I did not paint any blue on the inside of the cape, on the top of the cape there that I've just seen. Gonna have to fix that. Whoops. Yeah. Well, while I'm going to Warhammer Fest tomorrow, and I'm very, very excited. Sorry if you weren't able to make it. I just happened to be in the correct neck of the woods to be able to attend. So, you know, If it was really far away, I probably wouldn't go. I am going actually specifically to go and do their hobby challenge, where they give you a bunch of sprues and paints and just kind of let you have at it. And I think that idea is very cool. So I'm looking forward to going and giving that a try. Yeah, we're gonna. But I haven't. Was it out this year? It's in Manchester this year. It's in Manchester this year. So if you're a north of England person, then it's not too difficult to get to. But yeah, you know, even though I have Warhammer miniatures and I've enjoyed painting them and and that kind of thing, I have not actually played Warhammer since. You actually live in the city where it's on? You can still go. There are probably still tickets for tomorrow. It's on tomorrow as well. Like it's running but through this weekend and on Bank Holiday Monday. I'm going on the Bank Holiday Monday. So hey, you might have time. You might have time to go. Tickets might be a bit expensive though. Bus ride away. Hey. Don't give up on your dreams. If you're not busy tomorrow, you could still make it. But yes, I have Warhammer minis. I have not actually played a Warhammer game since I was in like high school. I did also like a session of Necromunda in like 6th form at some point. But beyond that, yeah, I've not really played. I am going entirely just to go and do the miniature painting challenge because I'm very excited to go and give that a whirl. And everything else is kind of like, yeah, you know, I'll go and check that out. It might be cool. It might be cool. Yeah, we're using a darker magenta just to kind of remove some of the patchiness from the contrast paint that I used previously. Money situation, sure. Yeah. I mean, Warhammer stuff as a whole, super expensive hobby. I don't blame anybody who's like, I can't participate in something like that because of the cost. I absolutely get it. But yeah. I am looking forward to, because hey, this might be an opportunity to and this was part of the impetus for why I wanted to go and try and do some painting today. Was like, hey, you know, I don't really have a lot to offer in terms of like, oh, you know, I've been playing this for years, or I know the deep lore, or anything like that. As put me in a situation of awesome models and stalls, and I'm like, shut up, Pokemon, I just want them all. Yeah. In terms of what Games Workshop currently offers, I think I have everything that I'm looking for. But at the same time, you know, additional tools or like paints that I'm missing could entice me. Been in the hobby for 3 years now and can't keep up. Like all kind of, I think I'm also in the Magic the Gathering fandom as well. And if you're familiar with how MTG operates, there is definitely a lot of the rate at which they like provide new stuff to buy. Unbelievable! Oh, thank you very much for the sub, Rick. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Also, hi. Hope you're doing well. Oh gosh, train of thought. Yeah, Magic. They release a lot of product over time, and in that way can be really, really hard to keep up with. and I think Warhammer tries to do the same. Oh no, you're good. You're good. I appreciate the generosity. Join at your own leisure. No rush. No rush. But yeah, that kind of process. I'm familiar with the process of like, yes, to stay current on releases, X, Y, and Z has to be occurring, kind of thing. I've been there. Okay, this is looking. I mean, it doesn't have any highlights yet, and I still need to put the silver on. But this is looking actually pretty coherent and complete. I do not hate this. We need to put the highlights on. Ooh, hello.
Sorry, instantly choked on my own saliva.
The nerves of having to say something out loud. Hi, Queeks. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. No, thank you. I'm glad you think it's looking pretty cool. How you doing today, Rook? You right?
Yeah, doing good. Just got a haircut.
What kind of style did you go with? You have your hair usually quite short.
Either way, we're more.
Yeah, it's essentially that, but shorter.
Thank you very much for the follow, Social Alien. We do regular tabletop streams on a surprisingly regular basis. This is the third Sunday in a row, actually, that we've been doing tabletop pack openings or painting or kit bashing, which is rare for me. I'm glad I'm so on the ball as of late. Oh,
nice.
How has your miniature painting been going, actually, Rook? Because I remember when you're like, I got some Space Marines.
I was going to say it's going, but it has not. I have, in the grand tradition of all hobbyists, I have not touched it since.
So it goes. That happens sometimes, though, where you're like, I love this. Do I have the time? Absolutely not. Have I taken on so many other projects I don't have the time for this project?
Yeah, although all of your painting streams have been very inspiring. Like, look how cool these are.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
They're very bisexual.
I was gonna say, I appreciated last stream when we were doing pack openings, and you were letting me know whether a particular card was gender or bisexual, and
sometimes they were both.
Sometimes they were both. Sometimes they were indeed both. We may need to have that review today. You know, the public must know. In fact, give me a second to finish doing the touch on that. Okay, yeah, that's fine. And we can go into the second layer later. So,
I'm going to abuse my mod powers.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do I do this?
What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do here?
I'm trying to make a poll.
Oh, okay.
Do I just?
I mean, I can make the poll for you. It's fine.
It's funnier if I do it.
I'll let you work your way through it. Sure. No worries. In the meantime, tell me when you're ready. I can actually, I might be able to. I won't be able to second stream this webcam, but I can stream OBS directly in the channel, so you can have a faster feed than what Twitch is showing you. Share screen.
Oh no, that's fine. I'm gonna do it through Twitch. It's fine.
There we go. No, because I'm going to do a rapid fire of these minis, and you need to tell me whether they're gender or bisexual or both. Is the important thing that I've drafted you in for today. Inquiring minds need to know. We have contestant number 1 already. I'm waiting for you for your summary judgment.
Oh wait, no, you don't have to worry about streaming that. Oh god. Okay, I don't actually. Wait, hang on. Do I just send the message?
The poll hasn't appeared yet. If you are trying to get that to resolve, I'm just gonna. Shall I just wait for you to go and get your poll on?
Yes, please.
Yeah. All right. I am a patient robot. I can wait.
Okay. Here we are.
I believe in you. That's not as vibrant as I was hoping, but that's okay. And this pipe down the side also probably needs to be in a.
Okay, I'm ready to start the poll when you are.
Okay. Are we doing a poll for each of them, or is this a collective poll? Because trying to do it for each of them would take quite a while.
I'm going to say, for my sake, let's do this
collectively
for the entire army.
Yeah. So I'll give the whistle stop talk for people who are maybe tuning in now and haven't seen where we're at so far. We have one of our two commandos. We have our infantry commando right here. We're aiming for a synthwave scheme, so we're gonna be getting in some orange gradients coming in later as well, and some purple gradients as well. So we have him. We'll do all the infantrymen first. That probably makes the most sense. Stay. We have one of our infantrymen just running along with a bright cyan rifle. Whereas we have our super long sniper rifle.
Oh my god. So
long. It's silly. That it needs a little stick for it to be held up by is very funny to me. We have our comms officer with a turntable backpack and a speaker rifle.
Of course,
there is a theme. And moving on to our little commando units with their little Gundam heads. And this one with like a little electric, like Tesla cannon gun. And then we move on to our spidery looking, much taller, still technically human, despite how much of them is cyberized, according to lore.
Well, I mean, if a pluck chicken counts as human, that lad.
Yeah, but behold a man indeed.
Oh my god, it's Sora with a gun.
Very much so. Give Sora a gun. And then in Kingdom Hearts 3, they said, yeah, absolutely.
Did they actually give him a gun?
Oh, yeah. Multiple of the Keyblade forms turn into guns or cannons.
So fun.
So good. I've not played KH3 in a long time, actually. I was so stoked. And a bonus mini, not part of this squad, but from the same faction, that I kind of painted as a test unit.
That's so cool. Oh, yeah, I remember the neat loincloth.
This one came out nicely. Whether these will match up to the same standard, considering that this was like 4 hours on focusing on him alone versus me scattering my attention across 11 different ones. It's a bit of a different process. But yes, chat. Chat says Gang is bisexual primarily.
Thank you to the one person who agreed with me. I see you. But also, like, on that test one you did, how did you, like, do the loincloth without spilling, like, any of the like, orange paint?
So, the loincloth actually is embossed. If I turn it from this angle, you can see that the detailing is actually raised from the back.
Yes.
So that helped a lot. Any overspill that fell into the recesses, I then went back in on the recesses in with a dark paint to try and cover that up a little bit. But yeah, the way that the sculpt is designed makes that detail work a lot easier.
Yeah, I see the dark blue. Ooh.
Yeah. No, that a mini having that kind of texture to help with that process, invaluable in making it work.
Yeah, I remember for my Space Marines, like, I painted over the kind of insignia in yellow, and it looked like a mess. And then when I went back over with like a purple wash, like all the detail just came out. And I was like, okay, that's why you did this.
No, washes are a really, really useful tool for. There is actually a cover on this paint. This paint is new. Let's remove that. Oh gosh, there's so much. Yeah, there we go. Put that over there. Now we have big, like turquoise pastel paint to use for working on the highlights of this mini. Because as you might have saw in my test mini for the dark blue, the like deeper areas are tinted purple and the lighter areas are tinted teal, and I want to get that across all of the blue on these minis as well, is part of the main goal. I think kind of really highlighting the highlights will also do accenting the highlights will do a good job at making the mid-tones seem darker by comparison. You got to do every trick in the book to be able to get it to where it needs to be. Although this is a little too translucent, or more translucent than I was expecting. I have a little bit of it here, but we need to accent that, make that. I got this specifically to be an opaque paint, so if the coverage of it isn't very good, I'm going to be a little disappointed. Oh, it's also a little thick as well. Annoying. Not what I would want, ideally. That just means it needs to be worked with a different color of paint to get it where it needs to be. That's fine. We can do that. Oops. The side effect of working with craft paint occasionally is that sometimes the quality isn't quite there, even if it is cheap. I tend to use a craft paint white, which has been doing me really well, but other colors sometimes can be a bit hit or miss. So we're going to be working in a little bit of ice yellow to hopefully get it to where it needs to be.
Oh, we love an icy yellow.
Yeah, the fact that it's called ice yellow, blue yellow is bluish yellow feels like a thing that's like, well, that's just green, idiot. But no, actually a thing. Yeah, this is too thick.
Yeah, I've seen ice yellow used a lot for like highlights for like a rusted gold kind of material, or like a brass or a bronze.
Yeah, it might resolve that we go back in on this later to kind of bring some of the blue back, but maybe for now this is a good way of me sketching my highlights in. Even if I am not necessarily a fan of the quality of that paint, unfortunately. This is what experimenting is for. Okay, all right. Yeah, no. What we're gonna have to do is readjust our aims, readjust our focuses. We are live experimenting here, but that is That is the process. That's how this goes sometimes.
Ooh. I think that could blend really nicely with the...
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that looks nice.
Yeah, we'll get the... It's a little patchy, but fine. There'll be a point where, especially after all this is like cured and dried properly, that we'll be like, oh yes, finer detail work. But we'll blend most of that back in for now. And when I have a... Mm-hmm.
To be fair, if anyone's noticing that, they need to pay better attention to the actual game.
Yes. There is part of this is kind of like ultimately this is going to be stared at from very far away. You know, the amount of which it's going to be seen is in low lighting in the basement of a gaming store. Texture isn't necessarily what we want. We don't want to have too much texture. But knowing that I need to... Okay, that's fine, because we can use a little bit of the... Use our magic blue again, but only just a little bit, and mix it up with the ice yellow that we've got, and just make the teal that way. And hopefully, because those are both good quality paints, rather than the cheaper paint that I bought, that will cyan up much nicer. Oh, that is already turning into a much nicer cyan. Or teal. And the consistency is a lot
chase
nicer.
up.
Mm-hmm.
I ordered some stuff from Warhammer in September.
Oh, did you get it
Still hasn't
delivered?
arrived.
Did you get it delivered into store or into your house?
Yes.
Ah, they don't
into
email you
store.
when it's in store. You need to show up and ask. They don't tell you this. I only found out recently myself, in that I placed an order and I happened to be in town with my partner, and as we were walking past the store, I was like, wait, hold on. Did they deliver the thing? Is the thing that I'm looking for around yet?
See, when I ordered my Space Marines, like the guy told me, because like I kind of like I was messaging customer service just to be like, oh, like when can I expect it in? And he was kind of like, oh, like if you don't turn up in like a month, they'll get in touch. Like that's what customer service told me, so I was kind of expecting like
them to actually get in touch with you. Sure.
Yeah, like
and
if it's been more than a month.
They just super didn't. But yeah, if you the delivery info should actually have that's not very neat. The delivery info should actually have a shipping status, which will include where it's sitting, because there is a chance that it might have actually just been sitting at your local. And they just didn't let you know, unfortunately. Sorry.
Well, that's fine. Let me go look into that now. It's a good thing I found out
eventually
right now, because I mean I'm not going back to. So I'm going back to Knots tomorrow, and then I'm coming to London for like the foreseeable future, so it would be good to grab it while I'm still in the city. It says no data to show.
That might have returned. It might have returned back to center at that point. At the very least, there is a pretty large Warhammer store in central London. And deliveries to that don't take very long. So you may well be able to get it re-delivered without too much fuss. quiet for a moment there while I did the edge highlight on the speaker. Doing the edge highlighting process is technically something that I could be doing later, and I don't have to do now. But I think it goes so far into making something go from rough to like intentional.
Yeah.
The process of adding the highlighting in. So I try and take that opportunity where it manifests, excuse me, occasionally. It's tiny little lines.
As a treat.
That help suggest where the flow and direction of the creases in the cape are. I do love their jackets are a bastard to paint. As it turns out, people who paint AdMech, Adeptus Mechanicus, tend to paint them and then construct them, because the legs cover up so much of the inside of the cape. It's really difficult to paint in there. So you paint the thing you paint the torso and arms separately to the legs, and then all of that together separately to the base, is how you're supposed to do it. But I was impatient, and I have paid for my hubris.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to painting my big Space Marine guy, because he has like a massive shield that, I mean, and obviously I built all of them before painting, and so I'm gonna have to figure that one out.
It will happen in time.
It will happen in time.
Yeah, no, I was pretty eager to go and paint these or get them on bases so I could feel like they were usable, because one's painting backlog is one's painting backlog, but you can always, as long as it's attached to a base, actually use it in a hypothetical game. So my priority was very much, we're just going to make sure that if for whatever reason I wanted to kind of bust these out, I could. And in a way, I'm glad, but also, what tabletop games was I playing, actually? The answer was none. I just got a fun little dopamine hit from seeing them all painted and put together. Or having them all put together, even if they weren't all painted, rather. I'm gonna need to do the eyes as well.
Sometimes you just got to glue some stuff together. And that's valid. So, what do these do mechanically?
Okay, so the AdMech are designed to be, because they are little robot people, very modular in how you can use them. They're designed to be very reactive to what the opponent does, and then kind of change tactics accordingly. Their big deal is that they get canticles, or like religious chants. So they're like a robo bard class, as it happens. They get a bunch of songs that sing passively that if enemies get too close, get affected by. Is their like big gimmick, and then separately to that, they are pretty good marksmen. And then if you want to go melee, the Sicarians have an option where they can be like 2 melee weapon sprinter units. And
bisexual.
To be honest, if this came over the hill with proper ka-chink sound effects, wielding 2 like sonic knives, I think I'd give up. I think that's too scary. I don't know if I could fight that. Actually, I would be like, nah, I'm good. You win.
So I know nothing about Magic the Gathering. However, so this is like a blue-green deck with like enchantments and instants.
Oh sure, Quandrix or what's the other? Oh no, I forget what the Ravnica name for blue-green is. Simic. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, blue-green is a very, very popular combination. It's quite powerful. Oh, are you saying that these guys would be blue-green in terms of
Yeah. Because he said lots of reactions and then like lots of auras.
Yeah, I could see. Well, there was a little while ago, Magic the Gathering did like a collab with Games Workshop and released a bunch of commander decks that use Warhammer characters.
Oh, yeah, I remember seeing them. Yeah.
And some of the AdMech show up in one of the decks. There's a deck that's basically like the Forces of Humanity, and they are a couple of different groups. So they're like Adeptus, like the Sisters of Battle and the regular Space Marines and the AdMech are all just kind of like squeezed into one commander deck. It's a little cramped, but these guys are in there. It's a blue-white-black faction because blue-black has a lot of like artifact manipulation in it, and these guys are all humans who have been turned into robots. So that is their primary deal. And
I guess the white makes sense for like the religious theming.
There are fewer blue-white cards for AdMech specifically. The Adeptus Sororitas are black-white. There's a lot of Inquisitor characters. So yeah. The white kind of comes through in that kind of like you are alien scum, so on and so forth. Which, you know, back when the game lent harder on it being a parody thing, the kind of Inquisition stuff was, you know, these are incompetent people yelling at other organizations for saying that they are heretics and need to be stopped. And then
Stormtroopers.
Yeah, you know, stormtroopers. They are incompetent in their malice. But because after a while, the law started taking itself a bit too seriously, there are a lot of people like, yeah, heretics. That Games Workshop kind of had to distance and disavow themselves from. I'm glad they did, verbally and vocally, although it has definitely had knock-on effects since. Those people have not immediately gone away.
Yeah, my friends like are at Warhammer Fest right now.
Oh, sick.
And I'm kind of like, oh, I wish I could have gone, and then I'm kind of like, no, I don't want to be in that environment ever.
Yeah, I am excited to go to Paint, but I am trepidatious about the fandom, capital T, capital F.
Yeah.
I'm sure the ones that would actually go to a con, especially on like Bank Holiday Monday, where it's going to be like the quietest day of the three for me, is the day that I'm going. So I can only hope that people attending during that period of time are going to be chill as fuck. They might not be, but I'm hoping they will be.
Yeah.
All right, we're going in with a light silver. That I have tinted a little bit with our cyan, so it has a little bit of a greeny tint to it. The lighting is quite. Let me turn. You can see that the silver has a little. It's quite a bright sheen on that now. It was just white or light grey before, and now it is definitely shiny. So I now have to kind of go through and see which parts of this I want to make shiny. We can always kind of
Bedazzled AdMech.
if it's too shiny, we can go back in with a wash to kind of A, give some color depth, and B, bring the kind of like brightness back down again. So we have some flex if it feels like it's overdone. But I am the kind of person that likes adding some metallic bling to a mini. There are people that enjoy specifically the process of non-metallic metal. So having painting techniques that suggest metallics without actually having to use any metallics directly. But nah, I like it when it's shiny.
Yeah, I enjoyed the kind of like just kind of like straight silver paint onto like the weapon of the one marine I painted, and then like washing that down with like my purple wash was just like, it just was very nice.
There is it's pretty likely that I will have to use a tactical purple wash for some of the steps on this actually to get it where it needs to be.
A tactical wash?
Yeah, so not covering the entire mini in it, but just dabbing it on in the places that I want that additional color depth, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It was just a phrase that was very Splatoon.
Yes. I entirely get what you mean. Hell yeah. I am not surprised that they haven't done anything like any references about like miniature painting with the different like types of gun that they have, like a super thin brush option, because there's the octo brush, right? And then there's a couple of other like alternate like brush types. I've gone in too thick. I think I need a thinner brush to do the rim around the eyes, but I can go back in and fix those. But yeah, no, I think that silver has already done a lot for how much I like this particular mini now. It's already in a position where I think it's looking better than it did before. Tuning knobs at the top of that done. Okay. Yeah, okay. All right. Coming along. Still definitely not perfect. But very much getting there. Nice. Using the metal to go and pick out the details inside the bits and the weird bits of detailing in the backpack. Already looks much more coherent than it did before, or complete than it did before. It doesn't look like there is like weird gaps in it anymore.
This color scheme is so choice.
Thank you. We haven't added the orange in yet.
It's orange.
Oh yeah. No, we got to add in the orange. The magenta will ideally gradient into orange in specific places. We also
like a lovely cocktail.
Oh yeah. Very, well, I mean, we're referencing those kind of like synthwave album covers, the ones with the big like stripy sunset against a dark blue or purple background.
Oh yes, okay, I know what you're talking about. I was about to be like, no, absolutely not, but no, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so we're definitely using a lot of kind of colors from that kind of color palette to get where we need to go. Doing gradients is a very, very gradual process, so it is something that I will need to take my time on, but that's okay. If it resolves that I go to the thing tomorrow with like a fully painted AdMech and then some others that are kind of like, these aren't fully painted, but you get the idea. I think that's still good, because this would be table ready, right? I could put this on the table and people will be like, yeah, that's definitely more than 3 colors in a wash. This would be tournament legal. It might actually not be tournament legal because this is a kit bashed part. This is not a part from Games Workshop, so I probably wouldn't be able to actually use it in the official game. Excuse me. But you know, I could feel comfortable putting this on a table and people knowing what it is and it being readable from a silhouette, and you can tell what it's supposed to be doing. Is the kind of like a three key things that kind of like readability. So our key aims here. We're just gonna put the lenses in the goggles back in green. There we go.
I know we have this conversation literally every time you do a painting stream. Truly annoying. Games Workshop's like standards for like minis and paint jobs.
Oh sure, absolutely. It makes it very difficult to, because kit bashing is one of the things I enjoy, I think, the most as part of the miniature hobby. The process of like taking disparate parts and turning them into a cooler new thing. And and sculpting is one way to make that happen, but I think that's a very different skill from generalized kit bashing. So to be like, oh, you can only make stuff yourself. you can't use external third-party parts in your creations. It has to be entirely things that you've sculpted yourself, or we won't let you use it in a space if it's custom, is, I don't think, fair. But at the same time, I get that they're kind of like, oh, you know, if people could just come in with literally anything, then people would be coming in to not really use our space on our products. And I can see the frustration in that. But also, yeah. I mean, let it happen. Let the people make things. And this is why I will never be sponsored by Games Workshop, tragically.
Yes.
I have a feeling that's against their wisdom quite heavily, but hey.
I kind of get it like at like a tournament level, because it's kind of like oh, your mini needs to be easy to read at a glance so your opponent knows what they're facing. Which I think would be like a fair argument for it. But I'm also just kind of like, bro, I don't care.
Yeah, invigilating it in stores is a bit disappointing. I guess I also see a circumstance of like little Timmy comes in and sees people playing a game and like, ooh, where did you get this mini? I want to paint something just like that. And then the guy says, oh, well, first of all, you have to go somewhere that isn't here to obtain the pieces. And I can see why people will be like, oh no, maybe not. But I don't know. Once this is done, I started painting this with the specific intent of, because at the start of the year, I was like, oh, I have set myself up in a way where all of my social interactions are like internet based, and I don't have the kind of like after work going to a location to do a hobby lifestyle that I had pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
So I figured one way of doing that is, you know, learning how to play a Warhammer game. Any of them. There we go. We've got the trim around the entirety of the cape now. That's actually come out really nice. I really like that. Ooh. And so the idea was like, oh yeah, we'll go paint this, and then I can go to a tutorial day and learn how to play with something I've painted myself, was the idea. And then very swiftly I realized that, oh shit, this is quite difficult and takes a long period of time to do.
You've definitely made the best choice with Kill Team.
Yeah. I don't think I would ever do mainline Warhammer. Even though they are about to change the rules and apparently make simpler rules, just the demand on the number of miniatures you need. They look like blue raspberries. Yeah, they've got big slushy energy. Absolutely. Also, hi, Lord Tsunami. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Hello. Yeah, the idea of having to go and paint that many miniatures and buy that many miniatures as well, to be real, is just so outside of my scope of what I want to do. So having a Warhammer legal game, because there are plenty of other skirmish games I can play that just aren't Warhammer at all. And those are good.
Yeah.
Those are worth checking out too, if the kind of like cost and things like that of regular Warhammer is not your taste and entirely acceptable, if that's the case.
And like, to be fair, like, even for those other games, you can use a Warhammer team.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
It's not like other games care what minis you use.
Mm-hmm.
Well, most of them.
There are other, if you're playing another big box game, like say Malifaux or Infinity or what have you, their organized play, I think, is a little less high pressure on not using proxies. I know somebody who is a big fan of Infinity but still uses proxies just because some of the stuff that he has is really cool and he likes having the opportunity to use it. But yeah, there's stuff like I really want to play more Stargrave, which is like a halfway house between miniature skirmish game and tabletop RPG, in that you can play a campaign with scenarios, either in like you can play a single player, you can play co-op with a friend, which is really cool to me. I really like that idea.
Yeah, I really want to play Frostgrave, the fantasy version. Like, I just think that the magic, like all the different like factions on in it. Well, factions like the schools of magic in it are so evocative, and I'm just kind of like, yes, gimme. I want to make a team for like every single school of magic.
Their kits are really cool as well, actually, because there's official Stargrave and Frostgrave kits.
Yeah.
That just give you a bunch of bits and goes, make a funny guy, make a tiny little lad. And I have
generator.
for sure. I have like the male and female versions of the crew kit from Stargrave and the female wizards kit. I might have the male wizards kit as well. I definitely have the female wizards kit from Frostgrave. Just because I want to have big magical staves as an option for my characters to have.
Yeah, it's like, I definitely think if I got around to like building like a Frostgrave team, I would want to kit bash my wizard and my apprentice.
I think you could probably get some older Warhammer Fantasy stuff as well on Sprue and use that. I really like going to larger local game stores, the ones that will have like stock from the past. And
the past, TM.
Yeah, stuff that's like out of print but hasn't sold.
Yeah.
And just seeing what weird shit they got and being kind of like, yeah, I'll have some of that. And then just adding that to the kit bash box. Because this gun and is from those kind of circumstances of just kind of having been in a store and then looked at being like, oh, I need to buy this now. I might not have the opportunity to find the specific item again and bought 2 of them, which was just a collection of like these guns, because I figured I would be using sonic guns actually a lot. We're gonna bust
You
out.
have a brand.
I have a soft spot for any bard miniature. If it's a musician miniature, I want it. We have some proper like painter's acrylic in an obnoxious yellow. Called so flat because it's quite opaque and super matte. Because some paints dry satin or glossy, and these are dry very matte. And yellow is notoriously a very translucent paint. So being able to get something that layers quite nicely and plays ball in mixing with other colors is always good. So we have some of our fluorescent pink. We're going to be adding our yellow in there until we just get a really obnoxious orange. I'm going to take some of the...
Yeah, I have some yellow nail varnish, and it's truly homophobic how not good it is.
Oh yeah, most yellows unfortunately don't work super well. They tend to layer quite poorly. So you have to work a long time to kind of like build up to that kind of color. The trick is, hey, Sheila, welcome. The trick is layer up from a magenta or an orange into yellow rather than doing yellow direct. So in nail polish, that might be doing an undercoat of an orangey color or a terracotta, and then building up to that warm yellow.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea.
That's a little messy, but that's okay.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of like how people, unless you're me and don't know what you're doing, don't like paint directly onto like the grey plastic.
Oh yes,
You're
yes.
like usually like
pre-priming is important. It is definitely able to kind of get a start building up color values even before you've started putting any paint on. I used a mid purple for
just a mid purple.
Yeah, mid purple. Not a great purple, pretty mid. You know, it's been better. You know, I preferred the prequel.
Yeah.
But yeah, now I'm just getting little bits of orange onto the pink now, just to give a different style of color depth to before. It's not in any kind of logical place, to be honest with you. I'm just putting it where where I think it's vibey, but you know, sometimes you just paint by feel. And now that we have our orange on, I can start using some fluorescent yellow. Some fluorescent pink. To like work back the quite stark edges of those oranges and blend it back in. Technique is known as wet blending, when you are still manipulating the paint while it's still wet. Oh, that was a little lazy on my part. I can clean that up later though. Using wet blending as the technique of manipulating the paint while it's still wet to get an even blend between colors.
Otherwise known as being impatient.
Oh, yes. You can absolutely do impatient wet blending. It's when you're doing the technique with intention is when it gains a name, innit?
Also, Nathan, have you taken a break yet?
I have not. I am very close to finishing this, and then I think I'm going to go and take a 10-minute break. So I'm in a position where I feel I'm very close to wanting to put this down. So I'm going to strike while the iron's hot. But I will definitely be taking a break shortly. I've been keeping an eye on the time, and I think I've been going an hour and a half now. Not 2 hours. Shit. Striking up a conversation with you is what did it. I blame you. It's your fault. We're going to be also taking in some of that bubblegum pink in Emperor's Children.
Why is it called that?
There's a chaos demon that is in the shade of pink. That I guess is called is an emperor of some kind. The Emperor of Zinch, I think.
The Emperor of Spinach.
Zinch, spelt TZEENCH. Zinch.
Did you know that there's a Breath of the Wild character called Spinch?
Spinch. I know that there's a video game called Spinch.
I'm looking at this man. This man is not pink.
Zinch is like blue, I think, but yeah, he has a unit called a pink horror that I think is specifically supposed to be this color.
Oh, yep, I've seen it. Ooh, that's pretty. I mean, they're horrifying, but it is a very pretty shade of pink.
Mm-hmm. Just finding those edge highlights that I can make a little brighter with the pink. Alright, so we have that orange still isn't quite as blended as I would like, actually. Let's continue to poke at the edges of those. The effect of this, I think, is actually coming along quite well. It does feel like we are getting some color movement between the magenta. It doesn't feel like it's just magenta all the way down now.
That's my favorite John Green book.
Magenta all the way down. It feels like it would be the end of a Lemony Snicket novel where like the villain falls down like a mine shaft or something and being like, they were magenta all the way down. I used to be obsessed with those books as a kid.
I think I read maybe like the first 5 and then I got bored.
You're younger than me though. I bet there was the standards have changed since. I think there was definitely an energy to them that I just didn't really get in a lot of other books at the time that made them quite appealing when I was 10 in literally 2001. So Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, I guess I didn't really have access to them until I was in like year 9, so that also probably did it.
Oh yeah, I think maybe out of the target age range just a hair. Where did my fluorescent pink go? Fluorescent pink is here. Fluorescent pink. God, the camera does not pick it up properly.
It's fine. I believe you.
It is a violent shade, honestly. But then I love working in neons as part of the finishing process for a piece. Always something I enjoy. I mean, it's in the name. It's in the name.
Yeah,
we been new.
The bottle does look pinkish, but the paint itself looks red.
Okay. Oh yeah, that inside part of the lapel definitely needs to be. Yeah, working in gradually getting that gradient is one of the difficult things, but I think we have it now. That feels like a very natural gradient between pink and orange.
Yeah, that looks good.
And having it for the edge of the hood as well, I think, kind of really unifies that. Okay. In that case, this is feeling in a place where I feel pretty comfortable putting it down. If I was to be really picky, what I should have done was in my test mini, you can see for the gear and the skull, I did the gear in pink and the skull in blue, or like cyan or what have you. And I probably should also do that for this crest here. It might take. Oh, it takes okay. It takes okay. I have to be a little careful with it so I don't paint over all the work that I just did. But, yeah, that's recoloring to pink without too much effort. Yeah, the eternal balance of keeping your paints thinned so they don't clog up gaps. There we go. But also keeping them thick enough where you don't have to do a million layers on something where just 1 or 2 layers would do. But I would call that pretty fucking done.
Yeah.
Short of, like, you know, a separate sit down to kind of do final wiggling. There's always a point on these that I would be like, yeah, no, I'm gonna keep wiggling this until it is where I absolutely adore it. But where it sits now is in some places messy, but otherwise absolutely says what this is supposed to be looking like unambiguously. I think you would understand what this is supposed to go for, even if it's not. The top of the gun. This was also supposed to be orange, this little bit here. Oh, I need to get the camera down this little bit here. But we can do that quickly because we already have an orange. We already have our orange handy, so we can... this is maybe applying it a little too thick. Need to water this down a little bit, but... Gosh, on a whiter surface, it definitely is very orange. There you go. It's a quick recolor. I'll probably go with a wash to kind of dull down some of the gaps in between and stuff like that, but that is obvious that is an energy weapon by far. Hell yeah. All right. And the tip of the actual firing end. Cool. There we go. All right. 10-minute break and some stretching.
Okay, you're putting it down. You've put the brush down.
I have put the brush down. The brush is down.
Okay.
The brush is down.
Okay, good.
Right. We will see you all in... Perfect. We will see you all in 10 minutes. Everybody go stretch. Everybody get recentered. I'll see you all in 10. BRB. Hello. We're back. Hello. Hi, the Never Squid. What's good? What's going on? Thanks for joining us. We just finished painting one of our 10 minis to a point where I think it is done until I go back in on a separate occasion and do additional kind of like work on it. But we have
You're looking very bisexual.
Oh, thank you. On both accounts. Glad that my minis are looking appropriately queer. But this kind of like this synthwave little robot has come out, I think, quite nicely. The gradient between pink and orange is like some of my favorite parts to do, but I can only really do it last, so I'm glad that it's kind of come out as it has. Not painted minis in years. Oh, yeah. It's something that I got more into. I mean, you know, there are lots of people who during lockdown picked up a craft hobby, right? And this turned out to be mine. My partner paints minis a lot, and so as kind of like a hangout activity, we painted minis together. But it has definitely turned into a kind of like, oh gosh, I now have a very large collection and I'm taking on new painting projects all the time kind of space. But yeah, having finished one, I probably want to go for about another hour today. I'm not going to try and do 5 hours like I did, I think, last time we were doing one of these.
Please don't.
Yeah. So we're gonna go for another hour, or at least we're gonna see how far we can get in terms of finishing this one before I'm like, okay, time to sit the fuck down. But yeah, these are all minis that yesterday I sat down for a pretty extended period of time to like batch paint. So specifically applying the primary blue across all of them, for example. And now that kind of work is done, it needs a lot of going over for finer detail work, which is the bits that we're kind of focusing on today, trying to neaten up what we've already done, filling in some of the gaps that I didn't get a good amount of color on previously, that kind of thing, and just making sure that it all looks nice and clean and cool looking.
My pandemic hobby was just swan diving into indie TTRPGs.
Yeah, I mean, you know, playing games online with people is definitely one of the big ways that filled in that time, right? I used to play an okay amount of playing in person, but I think playing TTRPGs as a social activity over the internet is what got me through Mizrona, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, no, I was just going to say the Never Squid, yeah, the color scheme is so good.
Thank you. I will show off the test mini again, because this is one that I painted just in one sitting for about 4 hours at my local like gaming store as a test for where I wanted to go and take this. And I've been using the lessons that I've learnt painting this in painting the others, and I do love how this came out. Pretty much only play TTRPGs online anymore. I do miss sitting around the table. Same, big same. I mean, one of the things, the lie I told myself, I think, when I got into painting minis was that, I'm painting these, so when I start doing in-person games again, and we are playing a game that needs like a minis and maps, I would already have a wide variety of minis already made and painted that I could just use. And that's still the dream. Whether that is proving to be an actual realistic case or not of my life, I will not discuss at this time.
Yeah, no, before... I mean, I've played 2 sessions of a TTRPG in total. Not in total, I mean in person.
Yes.
In total. God, imagine if I played 2 sessions of the TTRPG.
I'd be like, wait, hold on. Who was it that I saw on Twitch when you were running? Imposter Rook shows up.
Imposter Rook.
Imposter Rook was working on this from time, but yeah. Only 2 in person. Yeah, I mean, being able to, there's definitely a feel. The process of playing a game with dice, or better yet, cards, in person, and being able to use those is very satisfying.
Yeah. Fun fact, the first time I played D&D, I was the DM.
You just were willing to step up to the plate.
Yeah, basically. I had no friends who were willing to DM for me, and so I was just like, fine, I'll do it.
Hey, someone's got it. And to be honest, I think anybody who's like interested in tabletop RPGs should have a go at GMing. And it's not not even in
definitely.
a you need to pull your weight kind of thing. Just, I think the process of running a game gives you so much of an understanding of how they work.
Yeah, I do think though that D&D probably... although I guess there are like a load of pre-written adventures. So like, it's not like you particularly have to understand how Dungeons and Dragons is balanced or constructed in order to like DM. So no, I do agree with you. Like, I think there's a lot of kind of like it's kind of like when they tell writers that like the best thing they can do for their writing is to read. It's kind of like to be on one side of the DM screen. Like, you should know how both sides kind of work.
Yeah, I think that works for a wide variety of creative mediums, because one of the things that I find is that you can tell when a director on something or a producer on something is familiar about how a particular filming or animation process works in practice. Because the way that they will
in practice,
and in practice, I suppose, you know, unionize, forming a union is important. Because they will be in a better position, in a better position to make judgments informed by knowing how the process works. You know, I have worked with producers who have been like, oh, can we just do this? Just entirely unaware of what quote unquote doing this means in terms of time or money or labor. Should be easy, just do this. And then you're like, no, actually, you can't just quote unquote do this. That would cost an absolute inordinate amount of money that I know that you don't want to spend. But you would know this if you took the time to learn how the sausage was made from another part of the production. And I think there are people, and this is no shade, that are like, oh, you know, I'm playing TTRPGs, and it's, you know, it's really easy. I don't have to do very much. I just got to say what my character would do, and Johnny GM does the rest. And it's great and it's easy. And you're like, cool.
Yeah.
It might be, actually, for your... I don't know your GM. Your GM might actually find this the easiest shit in the world, but you owe it to yourself to learning how some of that process works. I'm doing this very far away from the camera. Sorry, there we go. You owe it to yourself to learning how some of the process works, just to be better informed of how all of this goes. Because I guarantee you, some people will be like, oh, now that I've run something myself, my general behavior or how I play as a player is probably going to like change off the back of learning how the experience is. And that can be in a good, that can be in a good way and not like a shade way either. Oh, sure. Yeah. I think there is a even being a gremlin, there is learning how that works in being a conducive gremlin, you know. a gremlin that benefits storytelling.
Yeah, like most of my gremlin energy is kind of joking about wanting to romance like villains, but like anyone who's ever GM'd for me knows that I do not want to RP romance. So I'm kidding. No, thank you. Unless gremlin face.
So when the planets align, there's been a scant number of instances where I've been like, oh yeah, I'm down to do a romance thing. It has to be with very specific people for me want to be able to do that. And that has been in a campaign that Will was a player in, or Raffi, depending on that kind of space. One of Will's friends, and that's it. You know, those have been the only instances where my character has like struck up a relationship with another character in it. And I've been kind of, and it was like, not even, and it was one of those instances where it wasn't even a kind of like, it was pretty effortless. There wasn't too much in the way of a negotiating conversation around it. It was just kind of like, oh, we both can tell that we're very comfortable to let this happen. And we will let it happen then. Whereas in all other instances, okay, it's like, I'm gonna make this a little horny, and I'm like, I would rather you didn't, actually, which is maybe a bold thing for me to say, being a member of the Campaign Skyjacks podcast that earns the majority of its ducats by being horny. Which, you know, the fans can be that. And Oromar is occasionally that. Not that it's necessarily in my contract, per se, that Oromar has to be horny. But it was an interview question when I was initially applying to Skyjacks. They were kind of asking, you know, kind of like, oh, you know, what are your feelings or approach to romance and tabletop RPGs? And
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm definitely capable. But I, you know, if you know, you know. I'm waiting for Calavar to return to the narrative, because that's when that's going to come about in full force. Be ready.
Oh.
This very much depends on the group and GM. I had a group with a GM who was great, but his style of GMing and storytelling really didn't fit the group, so we stopped. Oh, happens all the time, for sure. That kind of like a player mismatch can happen, and you also gotta. There's a degree of being kind of like, hey, this isn't saying that you're bad at what you do, or that there should be any hard feelings. It's just there's a mismatch in what people want, for sure. And sometimes among players as well, when players want very different things like content or tonally. As an ace person, I feel that sometimes you just don't want that in your game. There is that degree too. I'm not ace, it's just Yeah, there is a time where I am kind of like, yes, romance, yes, but I think it's usually for like if I'm GMing, like I am very down to have my characters, like the NPCs, be exploring that space romantically, because I find that is a very different thing to when I, as a player character, has to explore something romantically. And
Yeah,
I'm
but, like,
way
I
more
definitely feel
enthusiastic
that.
for an NPC that I am playing to do it, strangely enough.
I mean, no, I get that because it's kind of like with NPCs, you're playing so many different NPCs. It's not like you're doing romance all the time, but when it's like a player character is like very personal. And like that's the character you are playing. There's not really another character you can jump into.
Yeah, no, that kind of experiential side of it is definitely a factor. It's silly, but it's made me reticent to play, even though I know Thirsty Sword Lesbians is supposed to be a very good PBTA game. I've been very reticent to play it because I think the people I know in my life who would be super excited to play Thirsty Sword Lesbians with, who would be very enthusiastic to play the game. I don't know how enthusiastic I would be to play a game where everything is that horny on me. Right?
Yeah,
there is an implicitness there.
I feel the same way about Monster Hearts.
Yes. There was a period of time where I was quite hyped to go and play Monster Hearts, and then I managed to do an in-campaign romance without having played Monster Hearts. It just happened naturally, separately to playing that game myself, and I was like, oh, actually the scratch has been itched, so I no longer feel like I need to. But I am impressed though at how much Monster Hearts has set the world for that genre existing for people to go and fuck around in. I don't think we would have as many games that explore that space had, like Thirsty Sword Monster Hearts 2 or whatever walked so Thirsty Swords Lesbians could run, I think.
Yeah. I mean, truly Avery Alder, just an icon.
Yeah. Did a lot of work in the indie RPG space before a lot of other people started taking up the mantle in their stead.
I think she, her pronouns.
In her stead. But, I guess I'm now trying to think about games where romance is a pretty expected tonal inclusion that I would be like, yeah, all right about it. Maybe
I can only think of like one-shot games, like something like Starcrossed. Actually, I don't think I'd be comfortable playing Starcrossed, but kind of like the type.
The Beast Has My Heart. I quite enjoyed playing with Rafi.
I'm googling this immediately.
Oh, I streamed that. Vampire the Masquerade. Yeah. I've only played one World of Darkness game. It was a Changeling the Lost LARP in university. It did not go very well. Mostly, it doesn't start and stop at the organizer of the event stinking, but that was a pretty big factor. He smelled awful, and it made it very, very unpleasant to go and LARP for hours in a room where he was present. So that had to be cut short pretty swiftly. Yeah. Although that's the only World of Darkness thing I've played, but I wouldn't mind returning to the World of Darkness just in general. I would say maybe Mage or Hunter the Vigil feels like it would be my speed.
Ooh. I feel like I was in a very long-standing werewolf campaign, and there was just like a lot wrong with both the game itself and the campaign, and like I just can't touch any World of Darkness.
Yeah. They're
Like,
kind of like,
yeah,
oh, these are all affiliated, and that one was not the one, so these can't be either. I get you. What I've just linked is the VOD of my session of the Beast Has My Heart, a currently unreleased but in development 2-player tabletop RPG by the one and only Will Yule. Oh, Valthek, hello.
8 months. That's almost as long as it takes me to paint a single model.
I know the energy. I know the feeling. Hi, Valthek. Hello, thank you very much for the sub. I appreciate yous. We've gotten to the point where one of them, I'm now in the process where I'm like focusing on one at a time, because I think that stresses me out less than trying to evenly develop them as they go. So this is what I would now call design finished, table ready. There is a separate process where I could go in and add more detail and unify colors and do bigger highlights and deeper shadows and all that shit, but I would be comfortable putting this on the table and having people understand what it is, you know what I mean? So we are moving on to a second one that I'll be working on for what is looking like another 40 minutes, and then we will be wrapping for the day, saying that we did solid work and pushing ourselves too hard is not necessary. Past the ugly teenager phase and into the presentable adult phase. Yes. I like to say with every kind of like a painting project, and like when I do makeup looks as well, that there is the struggle bus phase of a particular painting project where you're like, this shit's ugly. How did I manage to make something this ugly? And then on the other side of it, you're like, oh, actually, this is fine. But there's definitely a period where you're like, what the fuck did I just paint? I've been working at this for 4 hours, and it looks like this. Why? Is very much a thing. But yeah, we're at a point. Some of them, I'm like looking at the accordion gun and being like, there is so much detail on that. How the fuck do I approach that gun? It's cool, but I need to work out how I'm approaching that, or I'm going to scream. So that will be for another time. But for now, we're making our way through. I need some water to be able to mix these two properly. Here we go.
Lost in the soul. That was that, Valbeck. Not you.
Big mood. Did a spot painting myself and kept getting lost in the details. All art has an ugly face. Yeah. It's like, but depending on the kind of person you are, when you start hitting those barriers of the art looking ugly, it then is entirely about how you respond to that realization.
Growth mindset.
Because I will often start to freak the fuck out about kind of like, oh no, this is going wretched. I've missed a step. I need to add in the slate blue before I can start adding this color. You would think, having spent the time painting that first one, that I would remember the process of how I got there.
For me, whenever one of my games reaches the like ugly like end of first draft step, I just kind of look at it and go, well, I'm done working on this, and then I publish it.
Couldn't be me. Oh my god, what?
I'm just kind of like there are so many games I've written that I've just kind of like gone into the zone for like 6 hours, and then I come out the other side with like a passable script.
And you're like, this is done. This is finished.
I mean, it's very much not done, but I'm just kind of like, I'm done with this. And then I post it
emotionally
online.
At least. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm an ardent fan of testing for TTRPGs. And this is a common point of discourse on TTRPG Twitter, so I won't necessarily get into the weeds about it. But there are some people that are like, you don't need to test the games that you make. Just release them. And I think there are some games that can be released. This was also during the height of like when lyric games were especially popular.
I still don't know what a lyric game is.
It's I guess you would probably describe it as an anti-game. It's designed to be a piece of poetry rather than something that can be played.
Okay, fair. Okay, I do know what a lyric game is, and yep, I made a few.
And this is not saying that lyric games are bad. I do not like them, like, at all.
Yeah, that's fair.
I find that because of what I enjoy about tabletop RPGs is a storytelling experience defined by rules.
Yes.
To specifically avoid the process of game design for the game, or like try to kind of like, but what is a game really? And I'm like, that's cool. I can't be here. I'm gonna put all of my breadsticks back into my purse and go home. But I have to.
What is a breadstick?
I have to wash my cat. Sorry. The game is on.
No, that's completely fair. But like, yeah, no, that's just fair.
Yeah, I'm sure eventually there'll be some point. There'll be some point that I will run into a game and be like, ooh, what? Oh, poetry. Ooh, metaphors. Ooh, and I'll be in, but I will have to. It'll be a very specific day. when that is around, but I wait for it to be around. I'm open to it. There was like a period of time where I was similarly like, I have struggled to enjoy having my voice in the background. No, thank you. You are not the first person to say that. So do not feel strange or awkward about saying that my voice is good for listening to, because hey, that is what pays me money as a voice actor. So love to hear it, honestly and genuinely. But yeah, there was a period of time where I'm like, I haven't actually really played or found the opportunity to get into the world of solo RPGs. Because again, what's drawn me to the space is the collaborative storytelling experience. And so a solo RPG is very specifically antithetical to that idea. So I'm like, how does this work? How is Babby formed? So I did a bit of process in terms of like, for those who know me, can you give me some recommendations in terms of what gets your what gets the fire burning for you when it comes to playing a solo RPG? What does it for you?
I think like I've played a fair few solo RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
I've even attempted to make podcasts out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, the thing is like, yes, I agree. Like I like TTRPGs because I like collaborative storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And like if I'm playing a solo TTRPG, like I have to do all the work.
But for real though,
yeah,
it's harder to surprise yourself, I think, is the
and it's also kind of like I don't know how to play a solo RPG. Like there are some that are like specifically like journaling games,
mm-hmm.
and that I'm kind of like, okay, I get this. Like a Red standalone game, you know, the kind of thing of like you're creating like diary entries.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But like Iron Sworn, for example, I'm kind of like, I don't know how to record myself playing this other than literally record me speaking out loud.
Mm-hmm. Some people definitely set themselves up that way. Actually, the silver on the face looks really nice. I think I get a purple wash in there and I'll be fucking giggling. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, it's Gundam face.
Yeah.
Gundam
Gundam face. Didn't like the style of helmet that comes by default, so I switched it out. I switched it out for something more my energy. But yeah.
As is your right.
Hey, you know, self-expression via this process is, I think, key. You know, I want it to. If somebody knows me but hasn't seen an army that I've painted, and they look at my army and be kind of like, yeah, no, Nathan painted that.
Yeah, no, it's very obvious.
There was a
Like,
period
it's
of
both
time
very
where I was
clear.
kind of like, oh, you know, I don't want to be typecast. You know, I don't want people to just assume how I am and how I like to operate. And then on the other hand, I was like, but you know, I have some iconic colorways that I like using and things like that. And those just can be in a thing I make. That could just be you know, if somebody's going through the real ass painters going through a blue period where they just, you know, had a typified style in everything that they made, and people just was like, yeah, and they're iconic for it. And, you know, that could be me too. That can be me too. That is allowed.
I really enjoyed the anime blue period.
I did too. I didn't finish it though. I think it's just it being on Netflix and then letting in a sub lapse and not feeling like, Blue Period was a good anime. I don't know if I want to re-up my sub just to watch it. Was I think my thought process at the time, but it was pretty good. I definitely felt not called out but spoken to with its discussion of like the inexorable march through the creative process. Setos, I'm glad that the parasocial relationship that I am forming with people I don't know is working out. I appreciate it.
Who is apping me on Discord? Sorry, continue talking.
But for real, no, it's nice that doing streams like this, where it's a hobby stream, is good to help me finish shit. But also, sometimes people say, "Oh, I'm also working on something." Oh no, you're good. You're good. I appreciate the compliment. When people say that, oh, I am excited to start working on my own project. I'm like knitting or also painting minis while you're working on something. And I'm like, yeah, teaming up to do our hobbies together. Sorry, I apologize. I'm sorry for using difficult words. It's not intentional. I like that you're here and having a good time. Are you also painting? Are you drawing? What are you doing today? What are you up to? I mean, this is the first time that I've said the words parasocial relationship and then immediately felt bad afterwards. It's not often that I am making jokes about that specific thing and then be like, oh, my bad. Just wanted to see new stuff? Ah, cool. Well, thank you for visiting. Sometimes I do tabletop games. I like doing digital card games like Slay the Spire, or Wild Frost. I like doing board games and tabletop RPGs. Sometimes that includes painting, things like this. Often, though, we stream a lot of Pokemon. Do I play Hearthstone? I played Hearthstone when it was new and played it for a while. I didn't get very into it, but I liked playing Warlock. Because when I played World of Warcraft as like a teenager, when I was 16, I played Warlock then. I was a Blood Elf Warlock. And my friend was like, why are you playing the Blood Elves? The Blood Elves are really homosexual. And I'm like, haha. Why would anybody play the Blood Elves? And then I became the incredibly gay person that I am today. So, you know, that story was its own thing. But yeah, no, I played a little bit of Hearthstone, but not recently. Of digital card games.
Funny thing to say to someone.
Oh?
Like, just, why are you playing that race? They're so homosexual, is such a funny thing to say.
I mean, it was said a lot more flippantly than that, but
Yes. No, I understand.
forsooth, why does one play thine blood elves? Do you not know that they suggest intimacy with men? Goodness. But yeah.
Intricate blood rituals.
For real though. But no, I of that kind of genre of digital card game that's like a live service, I did want to try playing God, what's the League of Legends one?
Oh. This is
Runeterra.
I can Google it.
Legends of Runeterra. Yeah, Riot Games has their own like living card game like Hearthstone called Legends of Runeterra. That Tom used to play for a while. I don't think he's played it especially recently though. That corner of the cape has come out really nicely. I love that orange and pink there. Ooh. Sorry, distracted.
It's very salmon.
You know?
Slash pause.
It's giving me uncooked fish, said Rook.
I mean, some of it is cooked. That's the orange.
Yeah.
Wait, is cooked salmon?
No,
Sure, it's
I'm being silly. Yeah, no, I want to play Legends of Runeterra a little bit. I did play Marvel Snap. I did play a bit of Marvel Snap. I didn't play for very long though. It falls into the pitfall that most digital card games do, in that there is no story mode, which is bad. All digital card games should have a story mode by law. This is not how people design their modern games though, so I guess I will never be satisfied, sadly. But also...
Yeah, I do feel like...
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like Marvel Snap is like the matches are so quick, I don't know how I would go about designing a story mode for it. You know?
I mean, you know, Marvel Puzzle Quest has been a thing for a very long time, and I believe that has a story mode to it. But the other thing that kind of got me about Marvel Snap that I was like, oh, I don't like that, was how cards are unlocked. Where, at least when the game released, and that's when I was playing, you had to just unlock cards, and you don't know what you as you play, the game just gives you new cards, seemingly at random. There is probably an unlock order, but it's not like the game tells you that, really. And are these new cards useful to the archetype that you're interested in playing? Probably not. And you just have to put up with it. And I was like, oh, not a fan.
I disagree, because, like, for example, with like Magic the Gathering, it's so difficult to know what to play. Whereas with Marvel Snap, you just get given some cards and you're kind of like, okay, cool, what am I doing with this? And sometimes it's absolutely nothing, and sometimes it's, ooh, let me put it in this deck. Ooh, let me try it with this card. And like, because deck sizes are so small, like, and like it makes like every decision of what to put in your deck like significant. And so it's just kind of like I feel like getting cards randomly is just nice. And yeah, like that's kind of it. I'm just kind of like,
no, I see it. I mean, my partner still plays it. When I started playing, I introduced it to him and was kind of like, hey, you know, there's this new Marvel game. You like Marvel? You like card games? You know, maybe this will be the one. And then I immediately fell off, and he's still super in. So even though he is a fellow big card game player, it caught him in a way that it sadly didn't for me. This gun is going strangely, but it's fine. It's fine, we're experimenting. I kind of don't really know what I want to do with it, so we're just trying things until we get into a state where I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But yeah, because I think when I started playing, I was what immediately caught me strategy-wise was a one cost multiplier deck, where you play the one cost and then play the bigger cards that turn your one costs and double them or give them like +2 power and things like that. I was like, I really like this archetype, and I know that there's a whole bunch of other cards in the game that probably fulfill this archetype really well. Where are they? And the game just kind of shrugs its shoulders at me. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that's fair. Like, I guess it would be nice if, you know, there was kind of like a mixture of both. Like, yes, there's the unlocking cards like at random, but if you wanted to, you could like seek out specific cards that you were interested.
As I understand, you can now. That is a thing that the game actually has, but it is after a certain point in the game. So you have to be at like collection level something 100 to unlock the ability to request specific cards. And I think when I stopped playing, I was at collection level 50. So I saw that number when somebody was like, oh, you should get back in. You can just make the cards you want now. I'm like, how much do you have to play? You have to be at like collection level 300. And I'm like, how long does it take to get to collection level 300? How many games do I just have to play against bots until they decide to give me humans? Because that's not immediate either. Until I get to start making a deck that I want and not just what the game supplies me. And they're like, some hours. I'm like, it's fine. There are other digital card games that I can play. It's okay. It turns out that what this game wants to do isn't for me, and that's fine. That's allowed. But yeah, no. It very rapidly resolved that game was not for me. But it's kind of nice when that is actually quite quick, rather than a long drawn out process. I've definitely been a victim of the it gets super good at hour 50. And I'm like, I don't have the time to play this game for 50 hours until it's good, unfortunately. I wish I did. I'm considering getting some people together for Demon the Descent one-shot. I think you might like it. It's Chronicles of Darkness, where you play angels, mechanical beings created by the God Machine, who broke free of their programming and fell to become demon. Oh my god. That's some Shin Megami Tensei shit there. Hell yeah.
The lore of like World and Chronicles is genuinely really cool. Like, another reason why I don't think I could play like many of the other games is that I know too much about the werewolf lore.
Oh, sure.
So it's just kind of like, and also like the splats don't really know too much about the other ones. So like, if I was playing a vampire, like, I wouldn't be able to divorce my werewolf knowledge from like what vampires would know. So like every character I would make would have to be related to werewolves in some way so that I could like use my knowledge.
Chronicles of Darkness is totally non-canon to World of Darkness. It's kind of the same thing. Sure. I guess that's the thing, right? Where there's I guess this is the side effect of tabletop RPGs that are very closely tied to an existing canon that, like, it's not. I guess World of Darkness wouldn't not function if you refuse to engage with the lore, but it kind of assumes you are going to.
Yeah, no, but I've also played the Chronicles version of Werewolf the Apocalypse, so I also know too much about that lore. And so, just whatever I play, I'm gonna be like, where the hell is Luna?
But also,
Hello,
hi, Baron Bob Blitzkrieg. Welcome back. Thanks for hanging with us. Necromunda Ashes are cool. Ashes are my favorite of the Necromunda gangs. I do like the kind of like Gantz cyber suits that the Van Saar have, and the kind of like gothy Matrix jackets that the... Oh no. It's not Orlok. What are the name of the gothy Matrixy rogues? Oh no, I do not remember their name. But Blitzkrieg, you're going to probably correct me. But the punk rock aesthetic of the Ashes is by far my favorite. I love them so much. They're so cool. I have a couple. I one of my first batch paint streams, actually, when I was just getting the hang of contrast paints, was painting a gang of Ashes. I won't pull them all up to camera, but I'll pull one so you can see. I'll pull up my favorite. This lady right here. Also kit bashed. So she has an arm that's holding the kind of like big Shadowrun looking ass like portable computer with the katana strapped to her back. Iconic. This lady's going places. She's making moves. She knows what she's doing.
She's making her way downtown.
She's making her way downtown, sprinting. She is. I just like the characterfulness of this pose. Really kind of came through. Yeah, they get quite characterful poses. Cool. One of the others that I have that I also quite like that barely even really uses the kind of Escher body, but I just kind of like kit bash together is she.
Oh my god, that's really cool.
Actually, I think in canon, this is a trans guy. Yeah. Because I kind of like when they were in the lore for the Ashes, it's like, oh, it's an all women gang, and I'm kind of like, yeah, but they're gonna be like non-binary and trans people who were in the gang initially and transitioned, or transitioned externally and then joined the gang, right? So I would say that, you know, he definitely was like a really top tier bodyguard for the Ashes. Transitioned and then was all kind of like, oh, I'm gonna have to leave the guild. And they were like, fuck no, you're family. You get to still rock with us. You get to rock with us forever. It's all good. So yeah, he's like one of the muscle for the Ashes, and I really liked because I was like, oh, customized kind of like suits and stuff is still part of the kind of punk aesthetic. So kind of adding that. I like the sword with the kind of rose vine entwined around it.
Just about to like ask about that. That's so cool.
Thank you. I really like how this came out. Yeah, it took a lot of work to get it here. Initially, when I initially did the speed paint of it, it was looking not great, and I was like, oh, I'll fix it by putting a purple wash over all of it. That will give it like texture and tone, and that made it worse. So it took a separate sitting down with those minis individually, with non-contrast paints, just kind of layering the detail back on, putting the color back into the mini to get it where it needed to be. And now they look great. I like where they are. I like where they're at now. But yeah, initially they were similarly in struggle bus territory. But I'm glad we've since managed to get it where it needs to be. I'm starting to approach the point where this is into faff territory to get it like looking finished, and I don't want to faff too much. His torso is a bit messy. I need to kind of go in with some metallic paints and get that there. Actually, we might do that a little now. We've got like what, another 10 minutes on the clock. I have a very finicky metallic that I've been looking forward to using for a very long time. And then once I actually started using it, it turned out that the paint was, you know, sometimes paint can get cloggy or dry up or separate even if you've not used it. And I think it's turned out to be one of those paints. So working with it has been a fucking nightmare. But we'll see. We'll see if we can actually get any use out of it. I've since put like mixing balls in it and spent a good while. Yeah, it's still very lumpy, unfortunately. I don't think I'll be able to get best use out of it. Which is tragic. I might just have to buy this color again at some point in the future and just hope that if I buy it again, it won't be clogged. But it has a kind of like purple green or like a green red reflect to it. When I was painting yesterday, I did the legs of these minis in it, so you can kind of see that they have like a green tint to them. I figured that would be complement the synthwave and the teal that I have on the minis quite nicely. So we're gonna use a little bit of that with some contrast paint. And get it onto this mini where I think it's lacking some of the color. Yeah, it's still very thin, tragically. Back of the hands as well. Yeah, I want to try and not be too overboard, too overzealous on using the metallics. I have learned that there is a benefit to. We're gonna see if we can get a little bit more of the a benefit to having a blend of glosses and mattes. Like it can't be if it's all shiny, then you lose some contrast. Because hey, you know, it's going to be really difficult to kind of appreciate the shiny parts of the model if all of it is shiny, is my thinking. So trying to, in very select places, get a sheen going, and in other places try and get it feeling very matte, or kind of having a very distinct space where it's darker colored than other areas, that kind of thing.
I once saw a Tau Kill Team where like the main color was just this kind of like, it was halfway between like shiny and matte, like this just like solid white layer, and it looked so crisp. Like it was kind of like a solid white with like black kind of like detail work, and it was just like
Painting white is very difficult. It's definitely something you need a lot of practice and being able to do well, or just a lot of patience and doing lots of tiny little bits of layering, but the end result can be really, really nice. I might show you I've shown it on camera before. I'll wheel out the Emma Frost that I painted for Marvel Crisis Protocol a little while ago, which uses white, but more than that, kind of uses a range of colors, of like using saturation and color choice to be able to suggest white rather than just using white in 5,000 layers to get it to where it needs to be, if that makes sense. And I found that quite effective. Once we get a little bit of the purple contrast paint in there. Yeah, this is going to be something I'll need to do manual detail work for in the future to get it to look exactly how I want it. But for now, we have a nice approximation, a guide work that I can poke at in the future to get it to truly where it needs to be. Sometimes you work in a way just to set yourself up for the future. That's looking pretty done. I'm doing the orange for the energy part on the gun, and then I will call it there, I think, for today. I'd be reticent to call the 2 minis that we've got out here like finished, but they are definitely in a good state. I would not be embarrassed to show them to other people. Is the key thing. Okay. Get our pink and our yellow nice and mixed up again to make a very vibrant orange, and get that into the gun. And then at some point in the future I can sweat the details another time. That is future Nathan's problem. Current Nathan has a pretty finished mini, in that it is pretty finished and pretty. Cool. Is there anything else? I can add a little bit of orange to this pipe at the back. Yeah. Dab in some of the orange on here so it doesn't take up the entire thing. Oh, yes. That is looking pretty sweet. There's so many armor details on here that it's a bit busy, so part of my job is going to have to be getting those to sit out. I see that hydrate, bear with me. But this is looking pretty reasonable. Pretty reasonable,
yeah.
Man. Yeah. Solid afternoon's work. Solid afternoon's work.
Also, don't mind me just passive aggressively redeeming channel points.
Hey, somebody has to. In fact, let me
Oh, yes.
there we go.
Good. I will mark that as complete.
Nice. Okay, let's go and find somebody to go pass the love on to. Since y'all have been so kind to join me for this Sunday afternoon. Will I paint any more today? Probably not. I think I will very specifically try and avoid doing more painting today. There's other shit that I need to go and do. Who are we passing it on to today? Let's Tiffany Witcher playing Dragon Ball. Yeah, I've not raided Tiffany in ages. Let's raid Tiffany. A black VTuber does a ton of very cool charity stream work. I do believe that this is a charity stream going on right now. So what better time? Please do scream, clap, and cheer for her and the stuff that she's got going. I have been your androgynous android game show host from the future, Nathan Blades. This has been the Neon Cluster Twitch channel, and I will see you all in like 2 weeks. I'm going to be away for a while, getting some work stuff sorted, so I won't really have much time to stream for the next 2 weeks, but I will keep it posted. Go check me out on Twitter for announcements and when I'm next going to be live. But until then, have a fabulous weekend, everybody. Farewell. Goodbye. Goodbye.